When my 38-year-old son discovered that I had inherited $20 million, his wife coldly stated, "That old fool doesn't deserve such a fortune. It should belong to us." They insisted I hand it all over to them, arguing they deserved it far more. After decades of sacrificing for their well-being, I knew it was time to teach them the real price of greed. What unfolded next left them regretting every single word. Before we proceed, please subscribe to the channel and share in the comments where you're tuning in from. The crystal stemware clinked gently as David cleared the dinner plates, his actions cautious around the leftovers from our Christmas meal. Turkey bones shone under the soft dining room glow, and Emily sat opposite me, her smile fixed, but her gaze plotting something I couldn't fully grasp. "Dad, you truly surpassed yourself this evening," David remarked, juggling 3 plates. That's when it occurred. His elbow nudged the edge of my briefcase. The leather case toppled from the side table, scattering its contents over the hardwood floor. Legal papers fluttered like autumn leaves, and I saw David's expression shift as his eyes fixed on the top document. His breath hitched, sharp and clear. 20, he couldn't complete the thought. I moved swiftly, kneeling to collect the papers, but Emily was already leaning in, straining her neck to view them. The Christmas tree lights danced off the white sheets as I attempted to gather them, my hands abruptly awkward. "Dad," David's voice broke like an adolescent's. Did I see that correctly?" Emily's fork clinked precisely against her plate as she placed it down. "See what correctly, dear?" I straightened up, the documents pressed to my chest. "It's nothing that involves $20 million. David's words rushed out. "The inheritance paper states $20 million. The ensuing silence felt heavy, like the atmosphere before a storm. Emily's forced smile finally fractured, exposing something more voracious beneath. "Your brother," she inquired, her tone suddenly soft, probing. "The one who passed." I nodded, resuming my seat with the papers securely on my lap. "George died 4 months ago. The estate cleared probate just last week." David collapsed into his chair as if his legs failed him. $20 million. You never brought it up." Emily's hand rested on David's arm, her fingers tapping his sleeve. "I mean, we knew your brother was prosperous, but..." I folded the papers meticulously, intentionally. "George built his tech firm from scratch, sold it 3 years before his death." My voice echoed oddly in my ears. Remote. He never wed. No kids. I was his sole kin. Emily's gaze stayed locked on the documents in my grasp. That's astonishing. John, what a gift for you." The word "you" lingered like haze. David stared at his hands, and I could sense the gears turning in his mind. Emily's hold on his arm tightened, her nails imprinting tiny marks in his shirt. "Dad," David said gradually, "you don't require all that cash. I mean, at your stage in life." The words struck me like icy water. I regarded my son, my only offspring, the child I'd nurtured solo after Susan's passing, and beheld a stranger. "What precisely are you implying, Akta?" I questioned. Emily leaned closer, her voice adopting that sugary note she employed when desiring something. "We're kin. John, kin ought to aid one another, and with little Lily and Max to consider." She motioned vaguely toward the framed pictures of my grandchildren on the shelf. "Their education funds, their prospects. We could truly benefit from some assistance," David added faintly, avoiding my gaze. I placed the papers on the table between us, my motions purposeful. The funds only became accessible recently. I haven't even planned its use yet. But certainly you recognize that distributing it would be proper, Emily pressed, her facade straining. We're youthful. We possess aspirations, schemes. We could genuinely achieve something significant with it. The grandfather clock in the corridor chimed 9 o'clock, its resonant notes marking time that abruptly seemed valuable. I examined my son and his wife, truly observed them, and something frigid lodged in my chest. This is suitable dinner talk, I declared at last. Emily's laugh was piercing, fragile. Finances are always fitting talk when they impact kin. David nodded, regaining his voice. Emily makes sense, Dad. We've faced hardships while you've been secure. Perhaps it's time to contemplate your grandchildren's future. I rose gradually, my joints objecting. The papers rustled as I collected them. I believe we should complete the cleanup. You're remaining overnight. Correct, the upstairs guest room is prepared. Emily and David shared a swift glance. Charged with intent, I was starting to comprehend. Naturally, we're staying, Emily replied. We have much more to discuss. I proceeded to my bedroom, documents clutched firmly, leaving them to handle the dishes. Behind me, I overheard their whispered exchange resuming, eager and ravenous. The house suddenly seemed very confined. I lay in bed, gazing at the ceiling as the digital clock projected its green light across the space. 11:43 p.m. 5 hours since dinner concluded, and slumber felt as remote as the moon beyond my window. The old residents groaned around me, adjusting to the December chill. Overhead, footsteps traversed the guest room floor, gentle yet intentional. Then voices, subdued through the thin ceiling that lacked proper insulation. I attempted to disregard it initially. They were wedded. They required discussion. But Emily's voice sliced through the floorboards with a sharpness that prompted me to sit up. That old fool doesn't deserve $20 million. My blood chilled. I held my breath, straining for more. Shh, Emily. Lower your voice. David's whisper was scarcely audible. He's asleep. David. And I'm correct. He's squandered his entire existence being mundane, laboring that dull accounting job, residing in this cramped home. Her tone oozed contempt. We're young. We could truly accomplish something with that fortune. The floorboards creaked as she paced. I pressed my ear to the ceiling, my heart pounding. Perhaps you're right, David conceded, and those 4 words shattered something in my chest. He has been rather stingy with funds lately. Recall when we sought aid with the mortgage payments, he behaved as if we demanded the universe. Stingy. My son labeled me stingy. I clutched the sheets so tightly my knuckles whitened. Precisely. Emily's voice strengthened, more assured. We've endured difficulties while he's sat comfortably. That inheritance ought to be divided. We merit it more than he does. But how do we persuade him? David inquired. You witnessed his reaction tonight. Leave that to me. Emily's tone grew scheming. Men his age can be swayed, particularly when isolated. And if subtle persuasion fails. She paused, and I heard her sit on the bed above. We have alternatives. What sort of alternatives? Legal ones. Consider it, he's aging, perhaps not reasoning as sharply. We could challenge his mental condition. Assert undue sway from George. There are examples. My hands trembled. Not from dread, but from a fury so pure it felt like frost in my veins. I don't know. Emily, That appears drastic. 20 million. David, 20 million. That's vast riches for someone likely deceased in 12 years anyhow. The nonchalant brutality struck me like a blow. 12 years. That's all the lifespan she allotted me. And even that seemed excessive to her. We could settle the mortgage, acquire a new vehicle, embark on that Hawaiian vacation we've discussed. She persisted, her voice now wistful. Lily and Max could attend elite schools. We could truly thrive. What if he refuses again? Emily's laugh was gentle and perilous. He won't. Believe me. I know how to manage men like your father. He's been solitary too long. He's susceptible. A bit of remorse about neglecting his grandchildren. Some tears over our monetary woes. He'll yield. Above me, the bed springs squeaked as David joined her. You truly believe we merit that money more than him? He asked. I know we do. What will he do with it? Linger in this home and tally it. We have our entire lives before us. He's had his opportunity. The clock displayed 12:17 a.m. when their voices dwindled to murmurs, then quiet. I remained there until dawn pierced my curtains, absorbing every word, every dismissive remark of my value, every frigid computation of my demise. By the time I heard them rousing above around 7 a.m., something essential had altered within me. The devoted father, who had forfeited everything for his unappreciative son, was vanished. In his stead was someone far more formidable, a man with naught left to forfeit and 20 million to safeguard. I rose and brewed coffee, my actions exact and systematic. The kitchen brimmed with the robust scent, and I sat at my modest table, awaiting their descent. They assumed they knew me. They deemed me feeble. They were poised to discover how mistaken they were. Steam ascended from my coffee mug in the morning light, but I tasted nothing. The kitchen seemed altered, tighter, as if the walls had converged overnight. Overhead, I heard Emily and David stirring, their voices hushed and plotting. I closed my eyes and recalled Susan's hospital room 12 years prior, the devices beeping steadily while I held her chilled hand. She was fading, and we both knew. But David had visited merely thrice in 4 weeks. Care for David, she'd murmured, her voice faint. But remember to live for yourself. John. I'd vowed I would. Another falsehood I'd told myself. When Susan passed, David had been too distraught to assist with funeral plans. I'd selected the coffin, composed the obituary, arranged the service. He'd appeared in a rumpled suit, dry-eyed, and departed right after the interment to cope with Emily. I'd mourned alone. Before that, university. 5 years of 90-hour weeks at the firm, accepting every extra shift, every weekend task. 90,000 in student loans I'd co-signed, then settled myself when David couldn't secure stable employment post-graduation. He'd graduated magna cum laude and thanked his instructors, his partner, his peers. He'd omitted me in his address. I'd observed from the rear, proud and unseen. 6 years ago, the residence. David and Emily had rented a cramped condo, grumbling endlessly about loud neighbors and flimsy walls. Emily had scattered hints about owning a home like clues, guiding me precisely where she desired. If only we had assistance with a deposit. She'd sighed. The market is so fierce. I'd cashed out my pension fund, 180,000. My safety net, my tomorrow, surrendered so they could enjoy marble counters and a 3-car garage. Emily had expressed gratitude once, then promptly hinted at decor funds. I'd persisted in renting my studio while they entertained in their expansive abode. But the routine forfeits pained more than the grand ones. 3,000 monthly and crisis loans never reimbursed. Complimentary childcare every weekend, while they dined at upscale eateries I couldn't afford. Shopping for their household during David's repeated jobless phases. Vehicle fixes, health costs, holiday reserves. I'd been a cash dispenser with a pulse. Last month, David had lamented that my home was too tiny for gatherings. Emily had scoffed at my holiday gifts, sensible items I'd scrimped for months to purchase. Dad always picks such dull presents, she'd told her sibling on the phone, unaware I overheard from the kitchen. I opened my eyes and reckoned mentally. 38 years of sacrifice. University, the residence, regular aid, emergencies, gifts, childcare, provisions, over 500,000. My whole nest egg, my retirement, my horizon, all bestowed freely to a son who viewed me as miserly. Susan would be dismayed at David's transformation, but more at me for fostering it. I'd bred this beast by being overly lavish, by instructing David that affection equaled currency, that kin meant extracting without reciprocating. Now they coveted my brother's legacy too. 20 million they'd never earned, never warranted. The coffee had cooled in my grasp. Sunlight poured through the kitchen pane, lighting Susan's photo on the counter. Her smile appeared sorrowful in the dawn glow. Disheartened, I heard footsteps on the stairs, Emily's heels tapping wood, David's weightier step trailing. They descended for breakfast, prepared to resume last night's dialogue. But the man who'd eavesdropped on their schemes wasn't the same who'd reared an ungrateful offspring. That bountiful, innocent father had perished between midnight and daybreak. In his place was someone tougher, who'd finally grasped that love sans respect was mere exploitation. I drew a deep breath and readied to confront my kin for what might be the final occasion. They thought they approached to sway a solitary elder. They were about to encounter someone far more perilous, a father who'd ceased yielding at last. Emily strode into my kitchen as if she possessed it, her heels clicking sharply on the linoleum. She'd attired meticulously, a gentle green blouse that made her eyes seem guileless, her hair tied back suggesting fragility. She geared for battle. "Good morning, John," she said, her voice saccharine. "You're up early." David shuffled after, evading my gaze. His shoulders hunched, guarded, like a lad caught pilfering sweets. "Couldn't rest," I replied plainly, pointing to the coffee maker. "Serve yourselves." Emily poured 2 mugs, her gestures elegant and calculated. This large house must feel empty at times. All these vacant rooms, just you wandering about. I sipped my coffee and remained silent. "We've been pondering," she went on, settling opposite me. "About last night, about your legacy. Have you—" David at last met my eyes, then averted swiftly. Emily raises valid points. Dad, about kin, about dividing fortunes. Emily's hand touched his arm, her fingers caressing encouragingly. "We're not seeking handouts. John, we're discussing family duty. You reared David to labor diligently for a future. But occasionally, even diligent folks need support." I set my mug down with intentional caution. "And what type of support do you envision?" Her grin broadened. Predatory. "Well, you don't truly need 20 million. Do you, I mean, at your age? What would you even accomplish with such wealth?" "That's not your worry." The sweetness in her tone edged sharper. "But it is our worry. John, we're kin, and kin watches out for one another." David leaned in, mustering bravery. "Dad, Consider Lily and Max, their college savings, their tomorrows. Don't you wish to aid your grandchildren? I've aided them their whole lives. I've aided you both for decades. Emily's facade slipped a bit. Certainly, you've assisted sporadically, but this differs. This is substantial funds, life-altering funds. For whom? For us all. Her voice escalated. Then she restrained herself, restoring the smile. We're young, John. We have visions, strategies. We could truly accomplish something meaningful with that legacy. I rose slowly, approaching the window overlooking my modest backyard. The December morning was overcast and chill, mirroring my disposition. You know what I believe, I said without turning. I believe you both think you deserve my brother's money more than I do. The quiet behind me was profound. That's not, David began. Yes, it is. I faced them. You think I'm too aged, too commonplace, too tedious to merit 20 million. You think I'll merely bank it while you pursue your dreams. Emily's poise fractured. Well, wouldn't you? What will you do with it? John, purchase a larger home globetrot you've never desired anything. Perhaps because I spent 38 years desiring for my son instead. David recoiled as if struck. We merit some of that wealth, Emily persisted, her voice stiffening. We've struggled while you've been secure. We're the ones with young kids, futures to construct. You're just going to hoard it like some elderly miser. On what basis do you merit it? I asked softly. On being kin, she retorted. On being youthful and promising, instead of aged and worthless. The words suspended like toxin. David's eyes widened, realizing his wife had overstepped. Emily, he whispered, but she disregarded pretenses. It's true, isn't it? What will he do with 20 million except tally it? We could actually utilize it. I returned to the table, my steps serene and measured. Is that what you both think? That I'm aged and worthless? David couldn't face me. Dad, that's not what she intended. Yes, it is. I sat across from them. And you concur with her, don't you, son? You think you deserve your uncle's money more than your father does. Maybe we do, David murmured. And there it was, the truth, uttered in daylight at last. Emily extended across the table, her hand reaching for mine. John, please consider your grandchildren. Consider their future. Don't be miserly. I withdrew my hand. Miserly. We'll pursue this legally if necessary, Emily declared, desperation seeping in. You're aging, maybe not thinking clearly. George might have unduly influenced you somehow. I stood, my chair scraping the floor. Leave. They stiffened. Leave my home now. Emily's jaw dropped. John, you can't mean that. Pack and depart, both of you. David half rose. Dad, please, let's discuss rationally. There's nothing rational about your demands. Nothing rational about what you believe you deserve. I walked to the front door and opened it. You have 15 minutes, I observed from the window as they hurled belongings into their vehicle. Emily's face twisted in anger. David appearing bewildered and adrift. Emily slammed her door forcefully enough to shake the panes as they departed. Emily's words drifted back through their open window. This isn't finished, you selfish old curmudgeon. I stood in my vacant home, encircled by stillness, and smiled for the first time in hours. They'd initiated a conflict they couldn't triumph. I approached my desk and lifted my phone, scrolling contacts until I located what I sought. Harrison Legal Group. It was time to place some calls. 4 weeks of tranquil quiet had convinced me they'd conceded defeat. I sat in my preferred armchair perusing the morning newspaper, with my coffee steaming nearby, when the doorbell disrupted my serenity. The man at my door wore a neat uniform and bore a clipboard laden with formal papers. John Thompson. Yes. Legal papers needing your signature. He proffered the clipboard efficiently. Sign here, please. My hand quivered slightly as I signed. The envelope felt weighty, foreboding. I watched his car vanish down the street before shutting the door. Inside, legal stationery gleamed in the light. Petition for assessment of incapacity stared boldly at me. My sight blurred as I read on. Petitioners David T. Thompson and Emily K. Thompson hereby petition this esteemed court to ascertain that respondent John D. Thompson lacks the cognitive ability to handle his fiscal matters. The terms swam, Alzheimer's, erratic choices, incapable of managing affairs. They aimed to declare me mentally unfit. I sank into my kitchen chair, laying the documents across the table with trembling hands. The court date loomed. March 15th, 2025, less than 4 weeks distant. Attached were affidavits from acquaintances I scarcely knew, alleging they'd noted troubling conduct and cognitive deterioration. Mrs. Jenkins from 3 houses away supposedly saw me muttering to myself in the garden and neglecting my mail for weeks. I'd never conversed with Mrs. Jenkins beyond courtesies. The medical proof came from Dr. Patricia Evans, who asserted I displayed marked Alzheimer's during a session I'd never had. Per her account, I was baffled by simple fiscal ideas and unable to remember recent occurrences. My fists clenched. They'd fabricated all, but the harshest strike was on page 5. Petitioners have secured respondents' assets amounting to $600,000 pending court ruling to avert additional fiscal damage. They'd frozen $600,000 of my funds, my checking, savings, investments, sealed based on falsehoods. I perused the petition 4 times, each pass fueling my wrath higher. They weren't merely attempting to pilfer my legacy. They sought to demolish my autonomy, my honor, my essence as a capable individual. The phone felt chill against my ear as I dialed Harrison Legal Group. Lisa, it's John Thompson. I require your aid urgently. John, what's amiss? You sound... They're trying to declare me mentally unfit. I have fabricated legal papers before me. A pause. Then Lisa's voice, keen and expert. Don't utter more on the line. Can you reach my office in 90 minutes? I'll arrive in 45. I assembled the documents, my hands now steady with resolve. 4 weeks ago, I'd thought the gravest act my son could commit was demanding my funds. I'd been innocent. They wanted to strip what rendered me human. As I drove to the law firm, one notion reverberated. If they desired dirty play, they'd just instructed me the rules. But they'd committed one vital error. They believed they battled a muddled elder. They were about to learn they'd waged war on someone with nothing to forfeit and 20 million motives to retaliate. I reached Harrison Legal Group 20 minutes early, carrying a leather binder I'd arranged through the restless night. Lisa Harrison's office scented of leather and brew, its walls shelved with law tomes that now seemed like armaments in my stockpile. Display everything, Lisa directed, positioning behind her desk with spectacles on her nose. I opened my binder systematically. Bank records for the last 6 years, every deal noted and sorted, investment holdings demonstrating steady, smart oversight, health files from my yearly exams. Lisa's brows arched as she paged through. John, these fiscal logs are pristine. Your holdings yield surpasses most managers. Now examine their petition. She contrasted the files, her look darkening. This Dr. Patricia Evans. Unfamiliar to me. Let me verify the medical registry. Her fingers dashed over her keyboard. She's not certified in elder care. She's a child specialist in Austin. My jaw set. Emily's university roommate. I recall her from their nuptials. And these affidavits. Lisa extracted a lens, scrutinizing signatures. John, observe this script, the curves in the L's, the tilt of the characters. These were penned by one individual. Emily always had unique handwriting. Too many swirls. Lisa reclined. This isn't merely frail, it's deceit. But we must counter forcefully. I want you medically assessed immediately to refute their assertions. 3 hours later, I faced Dr. James Carter at Dallas Health Center. He was meticulous, professional, with compassionate eyes evoking my own dad. I'm conducting thorough cognitive evaluation, he clarified. Recall, logic, issue resolution, numerical skills, comprehensive. The assessment resembled mental acrobatics pattern detection, term linking, math computations, brief and extended memory tests. I relished the trial, my accounting intellect snapping through with accuracy absent for years. John, Dr. Carter stated, examining my outcomes. Your mental function isn't just typical for your age. It's outstanding. Your active memory ranks in the 97th percentile. I'd gladly affirm you're keener than most 50-year-olds I test. Back at Lisa's, she arrayed my health results beside the forged petition. This is splendid. John, their case isn't weak. It's offensive to any legal expert. I displayed my phone screenshots from overnight. I taped various talks with David and Emily over 3 years. Texas is one-party consent. Lisa's eyes brightened. What sort of talks? Emily debating my funds, calling me miserly for not providing more. David agreeing, discussing inheritance plans. And post-Christmas night, I captured them via the ceiling, scheming this entire plot. John, you've supplied all to dismiss their petition and pursue fraud and senior mistreatment charges. She grabbed a pad, scribbling swiftly. We submit dismissal motion with bias by 6 p.m. Today, tomorrow a.m. We lodge defamation countersuit and notify the prosecutor's office. By week's end, they'll implore forgiveness. I rose to depart, lighter than in weeks. Lisa, one additional matter. I want to demand every loan to David. 38 years of aid, mostly logged as loans, not donations. Lisa grinned, fierce and content. How much? $513,000 with interest. We clasped hands outside her building. I'll file by 6 p.m. By tomorrow, they'll grasp they chose wrongly. Returning home from the firm, I eased my tie with profound contentment. For the first time in weeks, I felt commanding. I entered my home study, the repurposed extra room where I'd managed finances and projects for 35 years, and activated my computer. The display's radiance lit my face as I initiated a fresh spreadsheet. At the summit, I entered Operation Accountability. My accounting heritage had shown me every intricate issue could fragment into controllable parts. This was identical. I needed data scrutiny and orderly method. I commenced with numbers. Column A date, column B sum, column C intent, column D loan or gift. 38 years of aid to David unfurled in tidy rows. University fees, $55,000. Living costs during studies, $45,000. Post-degree crisis loans, $78,000. House deposit, $60,000. Monthly aid, 84,000 over 4 years. The sum halted me. 513,000. Almost 600,000 bestowed to a son who now deemed me miserly. But patterns revealed more than totals. Each major donation preceded another plea within months. Each affirmation enlarged their demands. I'd nurtured an addiction to my funds. And like addictions, it demanded escalating doses. I linked dates with my schedule logs. During David's jobless span last year, when they claimed destitution, I uncovered he'd worked carpentry 4 days weekly. When Emily asserted they couldn't fund Lily's supplies, I found she'd shared spa weekend photos. They hadn't lied recently. They'd deceived for years. I launched a second sheet, weakness evaluation. Emily's flaws were evident. Her online presence bared all, a frantic craving for prestige and endorsement. She posted incessantly about lavish buys, tropical trips, luxury attire. Her identity hinged on seeming prosperous to peers. David's flaws delved deeper. He'd never mastered defiance, especially to Emily. His carpentry was intermittent and seasonal. Sans my aid. Their facade would crumble soon, but their prime weakness was entitlement. They'd never endured true repercussions. Every blunder I'd softened with cash. Every poor choice I'd abetted with liberality. I sketched my tactic on a pad in diagram form, akin to past project plans. Phase 1, legal shield. Done. Lisa demolished their incapacity plea and readied counters. Phase 2, fiscal strain. Prepared. I held proof for 513,000 in valid debts. Phase 3, societal fallout. Awaiting. Emily's media fixation would undo her when lies surfaced publicly. Phase 4, economic truth. Activate when set. Each phase bore quantifiable goals and criteria. This wasn't vengeance. It was responsibility they'd evaded. I accessed Emily's Instagram and methodically captured posts. Her feed narrated hypocrisy that would stun believers in her victim tale. April 2024 Hawaii vacation snaps captioned, "Embracing luxury," posted same week they begged grocery aid. July 2024. Emily flaunting $400 heels, griping about hoarders over enjoyers, posted amid supposed crisis. October 2024. David's fishing gear photos with costly new kit captioned "Season ready" during alleged joblessness. I preserved all with dates, forging an evidence dossier to shatter her trustworthiness. The clock indicated 11:30 p.m. When I shut my laptop, 3 orderly folders rested on my desk. Phase 1 finished. Phase 2 primed. Phase 3 impending. I lifted my phone, scrolled to David's number, then replaced it undialed. Not yet. Let them believe victory lingered. Susan once said I was too lenient, too pardoning. She'd approved the man emerging, systematic, tactical, unyielding. Tomorrow, Phase 2 commenced. My morning brew was disturbed by my phone humming like an irate bee, message after message from locals and former co-workers. John, seen Emily's Instagram post. This can't be accurate. Right. Contact me soon. I opened Instagram hesitantly, unprepared for the sight. Emily's post topped my feed. Shared 62 times in 4 hours. The title, "Devastated by Kin Elder Mistreatment." Please circulate. Below, she'd fashioned a manipulation masterpiece. Images of bare shelves, past due notices, her kids appearing forlorn in tattered garb. The narrative bore no likeness to truth, but evoked heartbreak. My father-in-law inherited 20 million, but denies aid to his struggling kin. While he stockpiles riches, my children dine on oatmeal nightly and fret home loss. He's abandoned the grandkids who adore him, favoring cash over kin. Pray for us in this trial. 112 supportive and furious comments amassed. How heartless. Those poor little ones. Wealth corrupts. Report him to authorities. My hands quivered as I captured all, logging lies with timestamps. But harm propagated through our modest town like blaze. 30 minutes later, my phone rang. Mary Jenkins, my neighbor for 18 years. John, I don't comprehend your family issue. Mary, there's more than online. But those kid photos, they seem so gaunt, so mournful. I shut my eyes. Mary, seen Lily and Max lately at the market. The playground, a hesitation. Well, no, but they're robust, nourished kids. Emily uses old images, likely from Max's illness last fall. But doubt tinged Mary's tone. The sentiment ploy succeeded flawlessly. At the market that afternoon, chatter ceased upon my approach. The teller, always amiable, shunned eye contact. Neighbor Tom crossed streets to ignore me. Emily's tale disseminated quicker than I could rebut. Social platforms had armed rumor, turning my town against me on crafted deceptions. That night, I settled for methodical inquiry. If Emily wanted media war, she'd picked poorly. I possessed 35 years of problem-solving acumen and endless time to dismantle her falsehoods. I delved her profile archive, scrolling months back. Contradictions astounded. December 20th, 2024, reserved our holiday beach getaway. Excited for kin joy. Posted 6 days pre-inheritance demand to nourish kids. November 5th, 2024, Emily displaying her fresh luxury accessory trove worth readily $3,000, posted during claimed fiscal woe. September 15th, 2024, David's hunting snaps with pricey new gear captioned "New tools for fall" while behind on payments. I matched her posts to money pleas, crafting a chronology exposing duplicity. Each poverty assertion contradicted by opulent proof. But Emily's triumph was her acquaintance web. Scores of similarly privileged suburban moms, thriving on turmoil and indignation. They circulated her posts unchecked, adding flourishes. "I sensed something wrong with that elder," penned friend Jessica. "Affluent folks are so greedy," appended Laura. "Those kids merit better." I captured all, assembling thorough file of lies and inconsistencies. But crucially, learning their game's rules. They thought media concerned feelings and control. Correct. But they'd overlooked each post. Comment, share left traces traceable, logged, weaponizable. By midnight, I had 62 contradictory post captures, 28 financial hypocrisy cases, and 18 outright circumstance lies. My phone displayed 31 missed calls from townsfolk, some worried, others blaming, but I withheld response. Not yet. Let Emily burrow deeper. Each deception, exaggeration, manipulation posted fueled my eventual retort. The snare neared readiness. I needed her to advance further into it. The town hall hummed with odd vigor as I arrived for our monthly residents meeting. Emily had sought this session emphasize senior mistreatment awareness. Her ultimate snare, she thought. But I'd requested 20 minutes to clarify recent misconceptions. My binder labeled Fiscal Log 1990-2025 felt solid in my hands. Emily had converted the room's front into theatrical display. Boards showed enlarged images of empty pantries, overdue invoices, and woebegone kids. Her items narrated a tale to stir any tender heart. "Thanks for attending," she started, voice quivering with rehearsed feeling. I never imagined revealing family matters openly. But when children suffer, 40-plus residents occupied folding seats, faces softening with pity. Emily knew her crowd. She pointed to displays. These images depict financial senior abuse reality. While my father-in-law stockpiles $20 million, our kids eat oatmeal nightly. Our power nearly cut last week. Outrage murmurs rippled. How awful. Those innocents. Action needed. I sat silently rearward, noting, awaiting my slot. I hold proof validating all, Emily proceeded, raising formal papers. Bank logs showing his vast wealth amid our basic struggle. Health records proving mental decline. Neighbor affidavits of concern. The act was expert. By finish, half ready to summon services on me. Mr. Thompson, said Mary Jenkins. Session lead. Emily requested we tackle this grave matter. Care to reply? I rose leisurely. Carrying binder to podium, Emily vacated. Her smug grin implied victory assumed. Thanks, Mary. I do have shares. I opened binder carefully. Emily cited proof. I've brought 38 years of fiscal logs. Let's review facts. I spread statements on table. These show monthly 2,500 transfers to David Thompson past 4 years. That's 96,000. Room energy shifted subtly. Emily's smile wavered. This voucher shows 180,000 house deposit from my savings October 2020. Murmurs altered, puzzled, querying. University fees 55,000. Study living 45,000. Post-grad crises 78,000. Neighbors calculated mentally, expressions changing. Total aid to son and daughter-in-law over 38 years, 513,000. Silence deep. Now, Emily noted media proof. I linked laptop to hall projector. Emily's vacation images filled screen. Florida shores, fancy diners, luxury bags, timestamps ruined. April 20, 2024, Paradise living our peak. Posted week they sought food aid. Gasps resounded. July 12, 2024, Emily with $400 boots, bemoaning hoarders over life enjoyers. Amid crisis, Emily stood. Posts misconstrued. You're twisting. October 3, 2024, David's new boat bought jobless while I paid mortgage. Mary Jenkins lifted hand. Emily, you claimed last week John never aided financially. Said heartless. That's not meant, others compared. She showed new luxury wallet last month. Didn't they redo bathroom? Emily panicked visibly. You side him for money. No, I said softly. They question your tale as evidence mismatches. David, silent throughout, spoke. Emily, perhaps leave. Not finished, she barked. Records fakeable, media hackable. But room turned. Pity once hers, now mine. Residents neared with sheepish regrets. John, sorry believed. Should have sought your view first. We apologize. I packed orderly, accepting grace. Truth worked. As Emily stormed exit, dragging David, Mary neared. John, something else Emily said around town. I looked interested. Evidently, not concluded. David reached the building site Tuesday morning, finding colleagues shunning eyes. Usual banter died nearing, replaced by awkward quiet and glances. Boss Mike Sanchez emerged from trailer with clipboard and stern look. David, talk needed. My office. Trailer's chairs creaked as David sat. Dread like cold stone in gut. You're solid worker, Mike started. But problem. 4 clients called since Monday requesting crew changes. David's mouth dried, meaning uneasy with family drama. News travels quick in building world. That town meeting. Mike shook head. Clients avoid site controversy. Mike, explainable. Sure, but reality business protection. Offer unpaid leave till passes. Or, he trailed. David's hands shook, calling Emily from lot. Essentially fired, he said answered. Neighborhood stuff spread to jobs. Emily's reply sharp, alarmed. Legal how? Doesn't matter. Done. Driving home, David felt artificial life walls crumbling. Sans steady pay. How sustain Emily's insisted lifestyle home? Emily stared phone horrified. Social world imploded overnight. Connections severed. Chats exited. Backers now mute or critical. No calls returned, she told David entering. Jessica, Laura, Karen, all dodging. She'd tried new posts for narrative control, but flopped. Credibility ruined. Town saw proof, math, conclusions own. At market afternoon, ex-friends aisle crossed, avoiding. Talks halted approaching. Isolation total, crushing, back home. Emily spread Bill's table like dismal riddle. Sans David's income. Figures failed. Card statements revealed full reliance on John's aid. Money ceased. Can't survive without, she admitted bitterly. Lived beyond means years. David eyed irresponsibility proof. Vehicle payments, cards, mortgage, based John's steady help. Sans, ruin months. By night, desperation drove John's door. Knock hesitant. John opened, expression gauged, expected. Talk needed, Emily said, trying old tactics. Perhaps misunderstood things. John stepped aside, entering, but distant. Maybe resolve, Dad, David added feebly. Middle ground find. They sat living room like petitioner's judge. Emily tried tears, guilt, duties. David attempted bonding, memories. John listened patiently, responded devastating calm. Emily called incompetent, tried declare incapable affairs, lied whole town my character. But drop legal, Emily interrupted. Need help recover. Helped 38 years, responded calling miserly. Senile. David leaned desperate. Dad, please. Kin. John's laugh cold. Kin doesn't forge. Kin doesn't steal legacies. Kin doesn't public humiliate. Emily's protests frantic. Promises desperate. John unmoved. Finally stood. Time resolve passed. Choice Christmas made. Reaching car, Emily turned last. Not over. John, no money source, no real you. From window, John watched depart. Then phoned to Harrison Legal. Finger hovered call briefly. 8 days post Emily's threat. I sat opposite Lisa Harrison reviewing thick binder marked Thompson versus Thompson debt recovery suit. John, most documented recovery scene, Lisa said, spreading records conference table. 38 years meticulous keeping. I'd spent week compiling every agreement. Note, witness sign. Accounting served well. Documented dependents precisely. Legal foundation solid, Lisa continued. Not gifts. Structured loans clear terms. Son signed every major. Numbers staggering. Principal 320,000 documented 15 years. Interest standard 168,000. Total 588,000. Challenged competency. Lisa said organizing. Now consequences. No judge harassment after attempts. I nodded. Plan satisfaction. Wanted money. Now pay received. Documents prepared ruthless. Demand immediate bold. Asset lines house. Vehicles. 40-day deadline pre-forced insolvency. Server delivers 3 p.m., Lisa said. Tonight position clear. At home. Emily sorted unpaid bills. Doorbell rang. Uniform man clipboard familiar, ominous. Emily Thompson. Papers signature. Hands shook signing. David shoulder opening envelope. 588,000. Emily's voice broke amount. David snatched papers, scanning unfamiliar terms. Dad recorded all, every loan, payment, Repay promise, called 4 lawyers afternoon. Each confirmed fears. Legitimate notes, attorney explained. Extensive docs, interest normal. Father standing collect. Emily paced room frantic. Planned everything. Every dollar trap. No. David quiet. Understanding. Every dollar test. Failed. House value covered half. Cars 40,000 combined. Emily's luxuries minimal dent. Insolvency lawyer blunt. 40 days negotiate or liquidate. Father all leverage. That night, I sat study reviewing plan completion. Lisa updated. Delivered success. Lawyer contacted negotiation. I reclined, recalling Susan's last words. Care David. Live yourself. 38 years forgot ladder. Enabled entitlement. Funded ingratitude. Accepted disrespect. No more. Phone rang 7 p.m. ID David's. Stared 4 rings, recalling Christmas. Midnight plots. Emily's town lies. Set down unanswered. Stopped. Restarted immediate. This time off entirely. Outside. Winter yielded early spring. New growth. But clear dead wood first. They'd called senile, unfit, miserly. Tried steal independence, dignity, repute. Now learning cost underestimating man nothing lose. Everything prove. Project complete. Calculations correct. First mild late winter day found garden planting early bulbs blooming next year. Some learned need patience. Timing. Car doors slamming shattered peace. Emily's aggressive lawn stride showed rope end. Settle now, announced. David trailing folder clutched chest. I continued planting. Not looking. Afternoon. Emily. David, no games. John, 500,000. Destroying us. I straightened. Brushing dirt. Collecting owed years. Emily thrust papers. Some gifts. Said yourself. Glanced docs. Hasty. Disorganized. When said, holiday presents. Birthday cash. Grocery help documented loans. Husband's sign. See originals? David stepped desperate. Dad. Think Lily Max. Grandkids lose home. Thought years. Why documented? Met eyes. Planned ungratefulness possibility. Emily's face rage contorted. Planned beginning. Planned accountability. Hoped unnecessary. David's shoulders drooped. Emily, stop. Not working. Don't surrender. Snapped. But David's look changed. First years, clear sight. Dad, wrong completely everything. Emily whirled. David, doing... Apologizing father 38 years granted. Voice broke. Recognizing manipulated us. Fought family. Fought money. Difference. Watched son assert wife first marriage. Moment heartbreaking. Hopeful. David, offering choice, said quiet. Accept owe responsibility. Payment plan or bankruptcy, Emily. Free money stops today. Emily's eyes fury blazed. Choose David. Him me. David looked between. Wife 12 years. Father sacrificed all. Decision longer should. But came clear. Choose right. Finally. Emily's rage scream heard 4 blocks. Fine. Destroy each. Won't servant. David. Won't watch grovel. Stormed car. Throwing folder ground. Papers scattered lawn leaves. Not car 30 seconds. Don't home. David watched engine start. Tires squeal reverse driveway. No move follow. She'll return. Quiet. Probably. Question take back. Knelt beside. Picking bulb, help planting, handed shovel. These bloom next spring, some things time grow right. Worked comfortable silence sunset. Sun present first decades, learning plant seeds, patience faith. Dad, eventual. Don't know apologize 38 selfishness. Start today. Different choices forward. Debt, pay every cent. Might years, no will. Why here planting not driving Emily? Golden light made possible again. Father-son together. Understanding family meant, these bulbs, David said patting soil last, really not bloom till next year. Next spring, best worth waiting. Nodded. Deeper meaning. Some bonds, like plants, need root die back grow proper again. As dark settled garden, looked neat bulb rows felt hadn't years, hope future, as the garden embraced the quiet of evening. John and David shared a moment of true connection, one built on hard-earned lessons rather than blind generosity. Reflecting on this tale, as the author, I see John as a symbol of quiet resilience. For years, he poured his heart and savings into his family, only to face betrayal that could have broken him. Yet, he transformed pain into strength, protecting his dignity while opening a door for redemption. His journey reminds us that even in later years, one can reclaim self-respect and set boundaries without losing compassion. David, on the other hand, represents the pitfalls of entitlement, raised with endless support. He grew complacent, allowing greed to cloud his judgment. But his choice in the garden marks a turning point, a spark of growth amid the ruins of his mistakes. It's a poignant reminder that change is possible, though it often comes after profound loss. Emily, however, embodies unchecked ambition and manipulation. Her actions, driven by envy and disdain, ultimately isolate her, showing how toxic influences can fracture relationships beyond repair. She serves as a cautionary figure, illustrating that greed not only devours opportunities but also erodes the very bonds we claim to cherish. The events in this story unfold like a modern fable, where a sudden windfall exposes hidden fractures in family ties. Christmas dinner starts with warmth but spirals into conflict, revealing how money can amplify underlying resentments. The legal battles and social fallout highlight the consequences of deceit, from forged documents to public shaming. Yet, amidst the drama, there's hope in John's strategic patience and David's awakening. These twists underscore that true wealth lies not in dollars, but in integrity and mutual respect. At its core, this narrative carries profound value, teaching us that love without accountability is fragile. The key lesson is to nurture gratitude and responsibility in our relationships, avoiding the trap of enabling selfishness. It warns against taking loved ones for granted, urging us to balance giving with self-preservation. The humanistic message shines through in the theme of second chances, even after deep wounds. Forgiveness can bloom if rooted in genuine change. Stories like this encourage reflection on our own lives, prompting us to honor elders, question our entitlements, and build families on trust rather than transactions. If this story resonated with you, touching on themes of greed, redemption, and family bonds, I invite you to pause and think about your own experiences. What sacrifices have you made, and how have they been received? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your insights could inspire others facing similar challenges. Don't forget to like this video if it moved you, and subscribe to the channel for more heartfelt tales that explore the depths of human nature. Your support helps spread these meaningful messages far and wide. Thank you for joining me on this emotional journey. Stay tuned for the next story that might just change how you view the world.